YouTube family, hope we are all good. Well, I'm not going to say family just yet because I'm still building up the YouTube channel, but it's growing. We're at 229 subscribers, so if you are new around here, then please do make sure you subscribe and check out the previous videos. So based off the title, guys, this one is going to be talking about mindset and how mindset can guarantee fat loss success, not just in the fat loss phase, but long term and keeping the weight off. So I want you to learn from my mistakes. So in the beginning section, we're going to talk about my personal experience, the things that I messed up with, the things that I did wrong, and why my mindset in particular was in a bad spot to be able to do anything, to be able to change my body, to be able to drop body fat, to be able to go from that to where I am now, and what I did in terms of making that change. So, bit of background about me. For those that are new to the channel, I've not always been the way that I am now. I've not always been able to talk to a camera. I've not always had the confidence to be able to do YouTube. And you know what? I've got an old channel and I tried to make YouTube videos ages ago when I was back at the gym, back at uni, training at a pure gym. I started making videos from a camera similar to this, just not as expensive. And I think I posted one video and I never did it again because I just didn't feel comfortable. Didn't feel confident. I didn't like how I looked at the time. I knew what I kind of wanted to do and how I wanted to help people, and I knew that that was going to be the route that I wanted to take. And you know what? This was before I even became a coach. I always knew that I wanted to create content and put it out there online, but I'd never tapped into that, and there was a reason for that, and it was all down to mindset. And my mindset at the time was I was not good enough. I was not worthy of putting content out there. I weren't in the best of shapes. I wasn't okay. I trained, looked just about like I trained. I trained 4 or 5 times a week. I had the knowledge. I trained for a few years. Well, I had a bit of knowledge at the time, and I just wanted to put myself out there and do some vlogging, but I couldn't do it. And it all stemmed back from childhood, really, and how I felt about myself growing up. I never were the most confident. When I was in a friendship group and when I was with my friends, I was obviously a little bit more extrovert at that point. But when it come to being in class, when it come to just being in social situations, I was always the one that kind of sat back. I was always the one that was a little bit more introverted and wouldn't really put myself out there. And that is just partially down to the fact that I did not feel that I was valuable enough. I did not feel like my sort of input was needed, which is funny talking about on YouTube, really, isn't it? To people that have never met me, or even you might have met me, but you might not have known this. So yeah, how I am now is based off of constant work, constant development, and this is why I feel like making this video. I'm able to make this video and talk about how it can literally transform your life and your body. Now, with what I do now with YouTube and creating content and putting myself out there and coaching, I do believe my mindset has allowed me to be able to change my life. And whatever job you do, whatever career you're in, as well as your physique, I do believe that guaranteeing fat loss is down to your mindset, but it also can literally dictate what trajectory you go on in life and the work you're able to put in based off of how you feel about yourself and your mindset and where it's at. So obviously my previous mindset was a bit of an all or nothing thinking approach. Now this can work when you know what to do when you finish with an all or nothing approach with the thing that you do in the phase that you're in. If you're all or nothing, you're doing that. If you know how to come out of that and ease off, great. But most people go into things with an all or nothing mindset and then don't know what to do after that, or they're not ready to go into that phase with an all or nothing mindset, and they get 4, 5, 6 weeks in, however long it lasts, and they burn out and they have to give up. Now, this is why all or nothing for me does not work. For someone that is struggling to lose fat in the first place or struggling to lose it and keep it off, you need to adopt a different approach. Now, your approach needs to be a little bit more focused around 80-20, the 80-20 rule. Basically going 80% of the week, you've got a plan, you're being consistent. 20% of the week, you're being a little bit more flexible. Does not mean you're going off the rails. Does not mean you're going fucking crazy or batshit crazy with food and doing whatever you want. It just means if you have 5 days in a week where you're really consistent, you might have 2 days where you track in the morning, and then you have an evening meal that's a little bit more flexible, untracked, whatever. Having that flexibility will allow you to make successful progress for the long term, because you'll understand that you can do these things and still make progress. Now, it might get to a point in the fat loss phase where you have to push things a little bit further. Cardio might have to go in, steps might have to go up, food might have to be a little bit more accurate. The amount of off plans that you have in terms of off-plan meals and untracked meals may have to taper down if you want to continue to push things further. But if you're in a position where you're happy with things, but you've seen that you've made progress from having a more balanced approach, guess what's going to happen? You are going to know that you can do it and stick to it for the long term. But I think one thing that people want is a quick fix. They want a quick fix. And quick fixes only ever work quickly, and then shortly after you're going to put it all back on again, which is why I'm not a big fan of it. So why to change? What I would want you to change. You need a clear goal and a why to actually stay consistent. You need a clear goal and a why to stay consistent. If you have a goal, you then know what you want to achieve. Set yourself a 3-month goal, a 6-month goal, and a 12-month goal. Where do you want to be? What actions do you need to take to be able to get there? Do the actions you currently have in place, do the things that you do currently, are they actionable steps that's actually going to get you there and get you closer? If not, what needs to change? And there needs to be a why. You can't just say I want to drop 10 kilos. You can't just say I want to drop 5 kilos. There needs to be a particular why with what you're doing. You need to know what you're doing and why, purely based off the fact that when things get hard, when things are tough, when motivation dips, when your mindset is telling you that you can't do anymore, your why will keep you moving forwards, because it's the main reason why you started in the first place. So you need to bear in mind, whenever it gets tough, there is a particular why. You want to fit into your clothes better. You want to have sex with a light on. You want to put yourself into a position where you can walk into a social event and feel good and have a laugh with your mates and not be self-conscious. That's important shit, but that why right there is going to keep you moving, and that's going to keep you pushing on when it does get tough. But at the beginning, it isn't about making it as hard as possible and losing as much as possible as quickly as possible. It's about creating an approach that is going to be sustainable to lose fat consistently, and then when it does get tough and you do lose motivation, how can you keep on moving forward? And then one bad day doesn't dictate the rest of the week. If you go out for a couple of drinks and a couple of drinks turns to fucking 15, all right, okay, that's going to take you in a surplus for the week potentially, based off the amount of calories, if you drink beers, whatever. But at the same time, that's just one day out of the rest of the year. It's one day. So if you want to lose fat over 20 weeks, that is one day. That should not dictate the next day. It might dictate the scale for the next day, the next couple of days, but then if you get back onto what you were doing previously that was working, if you were doing something that was working, you just carry on doing what you were doing. You might have a bit of a sore head. You might even need the day off, okay, which is why we don't want to do it often. Yeah, you might even need to be more relaxed the day after because you've got a bit of a sore head, if it's drinking that's involved. But then after that, what do you need to do? You need to get back on it. You need to stop feeling sorry for yourself, because one bad day does not dictate everything, does not dictate the rest of the fat loss phase. If you let it continue to affect it, then of course it does. If you continue to do it every single week and then continue to feel sorry for yourself, of course it's going to. So you need to remember that one bad day that you have, one big meal out where you might have more than what you wanted initially. You go out for some drinks and have more than what you wanted initially. So fucking what? Just enjoy it and crack on the next day. Make choices relevant to how you feel. So if you go out for a meal, you've got a family meal that's coming up, you want to go out and enjoy that meal. You want to be there, you want to be present, you want to choose what you want, but you're in a fat loss phase. How do you want to approach it? How do you want to approach it? I can tell you now, in a normal fat loss phase, outside of prep and bodybuilding, what I'm doing right now, the reason why I look like this is because I'm having to be resilient, I'm having to say no, and I'm having to make sacrifices. I can't go out for meals. But if I was in a normal fat loss phase and I was taking a trip somewhere and I seen a donut shop and I wanted a fucking donut, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to get a donut because I love donuts. But I know that that may affect things for the next day, but then what do I need to do? Make sure that the food for the next day is back to where it needs to be, and I don't do that shit consistently. But then there also might be a time when you go out for a meal with a family and you know, right, I went out last week, I went and I had whatever I wanted in a meal out. Weight hasn't really moved this week. So what I need to really think about doing is probably staying reasonably sensible with what I'm going to do. And that's a choice you've got to make. Because if you make choices every single time you go out and you just do whatever you want, of course, that is going to slow things down. That is going to drop your motivation. That is going to put you in a place where you do not feel like carrying on because you don't feel like it's working. Because you're being consistent maybe 6 days out of 7, but then you're letting that one day really ruin things by going overboard every single week, which then could dramatically slow down progress. When the reality is, if you actually have your calories higher across the week and then you get to a weekend and you go out for a meal, you might actually feel less inclined to be able to have a meal out anyway, or have the meal out but be more conservative. But if your calories are reasonably low because they have to be, because you as an individual needs lower calories because it happens, then it's about that choice that you make on that particular day and what you choose to do. And then if you wake up the next day and feel guilty for it, one, you shouldn't feel guilty for it because you chose to do it. It's your actions, it's your responsibility. But two, you need to understand then, it is just something you learn from. It's something you learn from. It's something that you just get better at dealing with over time. You get better at making better choices, and that's just a fact. So you just need to learn to say no, but also to know when to say yeah, because they are going to be your choices. They are going to be things that you need to learn to do. You need to know when it's not really something that you need to say yes to. But if it's something that you need to say yes to, you got a wedding, you got something coming up like a meal out, you got someone's birthday, your partner's birthday, your friend's birthday, your mum's birthday, your dad's birthday, your grandma's birthday, and you need to go out and you need to have a meal. You shouldn't need to feel restricted just because you're on a fat loss phase. But you also need to then realize, okay, well, if you do that all the time, then you ain't gonna get anywhere, and you're probably gonna have to say no at certain points and make sacrifices, because that goal and that why needs to be big enough to put you in a position where you feel that it's needed to do that. But obviously, you're not going to be in a fat loss phase forever. So you need to bear in mind that fat loss isn't a forever thing. Fat loss is a periodic thing. Once you finish with fat loss, the phase you go into next is about maintaining, it's about longevity, it's about sustainability, it's about making sure whatever progress you've made, you manage to keep. And then if you're someone like me, it's then about transitioning into a growth phase. It's about building, it's about muscle building. So then you can transition into eating more food and then getting stronger in the gym and feeling good and getting bigger. If you're someone that just wants to get the fat off and keep it off, then it's about having a fat loss phase that works for you in terms of you get there, you get to the end of the fat loss phase, but then you've got an out. You know exactly what you're going to be doing when you've finished. And then it's about sustainability from there for you. But for me, I like that transition into muscle building, which is why I've then gone from where I was, which was obviously I started as a skinny kid, so it was always about bulking up, but then I took the bulk a little bit too far, let myself get sloppy when I got to uni, and then that's where I ended up. And that's how I am now. So obviously I've been through the rounds, I've done the trips, I've made the mistakes. So it's about learning from my mistakes and taking notes and thinking about this video when it comes to you doing your next fat loss phase. And the final thing, don't wait, start today. What are you waiting for? Why are you waiting till Monday? Why are you gonna wait till next year? Why are you gonna wait till New Year's resolutions? Do not wait to do this fat loss phase or wait for the perfect time, because you might go, I've got a holiday in 3 weeks time. Well, what's stopping you today from doing something for the next 3 weeks until your holiday? What's stopping you today from making a change or starting to put some habits into place for before you go away? Or you've got a wedding coming up, or you've got something which requires you to be away for a couple of days. So what? Get the habits built now. There is going to be no harm in putting yourself in a position where you start fucking now, and then start solidifying some habits. Do whatever you need to do if you've got a busy period coming up, but the days where you're not busy 7 days in a week, and that's the thing that you need to remember. You're not busy 7 days in a week, so what can you do right now that's going to put you in a position to make progress? Track your calories, set yourself a step target, make sure that you're consistently eating a good amount of protein. If you need to know what all of this shit is, then just check out my previous videos. This video is mainly about mindset, but these are the things that you can do to make progress right now. And also, if you're new around here, then please do make sure you subscribe to the channel, because yeah, this one was all about making sure that your mindset guarantees fat loss, because mindset is a big thing. And my previous video was talking about routine. It was talking about making sure that my morning routine keeps me in a good headspace to then make fat loss easier. And it's the same with your mindset. Your mind will probably want to give up before your body. Your mind will be saying things like, I can't do this anymore, I'm struggling, I'm lacking motivation, I don't want to get up early, oh, I can't be asked to prep my meals, oh, I ain't got time today. So you need to then fight that, you need to overcome that, and you need to then keep on pushing forward by setting yourself targets, having a clear goal each and every single day, and knowing what you're going to be doing and when. Doesn't need to be completely rigid, but there needs to be some sort of plan in place to understand what you're going to be doing, and to have that structure to then know what you're going to do to tick boxes, and then to, over time, as a compound effect, make progress. That is going to be the video, guys. How to transform your mindset to be able to guarantee fat loss in the long term. Longevity always wins. For people that struggle to lose fat, trust me, follow these steps, get clear on what you want, have a clear why in mind, and make sure that you just start fucking today. Start today, don't wait, yeah? Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, like the video if you found it useful, and I will catch you in the next one.